I told you so.
Told you so. Told you so.
Why? Because now they're acting like none of the race-swapped princesses, the same-sex kisses of the seven dwarfs being replaced by magical beings ever happened. Suddenly, they're rethinking things. Yep, after the billion-dollar losses, the boycotts, the empty theaters, they're not enlightened. They're embarrassed. The real story today is that now Disney is trying to scrape the woke off the castle walls like it was just a bad coat of paint. Here are the most recent headlines. Disney is set to hire a white actress to star in its latest reboot after dumping DEI amid woke fury.
Isn't it hilarious, though? Isn't it funny? Like, oh, we're hiring a Caucasian actress, and everyone is like, finally! Oh, God. The thing that I find it the most funny is that this isn't even the main reason why they can't get butts in seats. Let me put it this way, the last decade was the decade of the woke. Like, the goodwill was there. You had people that were willing to spend more money on something just because it had the rainbow color. Like, you had people that would buy a Gucci purse just because, like, Gucci is supporting Black Lives Matter. I know it's difficult to understand, because that's not what you and me did, but, like, there were individuals with a lot of money, like middle-class twats, that actually hired black women to come to their dinner in order to lecture them about white fragility. There was actually an industry of that in the United States of America, like in the suburbs. You had women that, unironically, like, they would get black activists at dinners that costed over $3,000 in order to just to be lectured about white supremacy and about white privilege. And the reason they did it was for status, right? Like, they're viewed as supporting that. And so, again, there were people with money that would have paid to see a black princess. The problem is that Disney did not make it entertaining. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter about the ideology you have. Like, the communists from the Soviet Union, they created art. The Chinese, they create art as well. As long as the art is entertaining, it can actually be propaganda. But it has to be beautiful. It has to inspire awe. And the problem with the woke art is that they went on the other way around. Like, the communists didn't understand something. They didn't understand, okay, like, the old ways were bad. That was their ideology. They would say, okay, the old ways are bad. The reason the world is unequal and shit is because people in the past did it wrong. We're going to do it differently. But at least they understood it's like, okay, certain things that are selected shouldn't be discarded. So, like, okay, they would discard religion, like the Soviet Union. They discarded religion, but they kept the moral code. They created the Communist Worker Moral Code, and they had things there about solidarity and about, they kind of reframed certain things from religion and pretended that they're communist because they realized that the moral structure is still necessary. Even if it's not cloaked in mysticism and the supernatural, like, you needed to keep the world together. And so when they created art, they also realized it's like, okay, well, we're making art for propaganda purposes, like to push the glory of the state, but it still needs to look good. It still needs to inspire awe. And that's why, like, a lot of communist songs and statues, they actually look great. Disney, on the other hand, did the opposite. Disney, on the other hand, said, okay, well, we need to push for fat acceptance. Well, people don't really like that. It's not aesthetically pleasing. But if we put fat women everywhere and we shove it down people's faces, then they will accept it as normal. And that's obviously, like, why it doesn't work, right? Like, most people don't like rotten apples. So, like, if you put rotten apples everywhere, it's not going to make people like rotten apples. It's going to make people feel disgusted and going around everywhere and seeing those rotten apples. And they're going to try to find out, like, who did this, who keeps putting rotten apples and try to get rid of them. And that's the problem that Disney has right now. It's the fact that people are really upset about the fact that Disney is destroying their childhood and their entertainment. And so they're boycotting the company. It's not an organized boycott. It's not someone leading the charge or, anyone that goes see a Disney movie gets into trouble. No. It's just like people don't want to see it. They're not paying for it. Now here's another part that's interesting that a lot of people genuinely don't know. This is not just Disney And I would say that it's not entirely Disney's fault. I will give them that. People just don't understand how much art is being censored right now in the age of the internet. Like, it's difficult to think of another time period after World War II where art was this censored in the West. And most people don't even realize, because it's self-censorship, right? What I mean by this, first of all, the payment processors, they have very strict terms of service on what is and what isn't allowed to be sold on their payment networks. And so if you're making a movie and the payment processor doesn't like what you're making, like let's say you're making something extreme, like the Human Centipede, like something that will sell, like there is a market for it, but it's not on the up and up, it's not for everyone. The payment processors can just, like, if they find out what you're doing, they can just shut down your business. The streaming services, right? The Netflix, the Amazons, they also have terms of service. And they flat out tell you, it's like, no, if you want to sell on Amazon, you need to have diversity, you need to have this and this and that. You can't have this and this and that. So there's, like, extreme rules on what you're allowed to do. Investors, they also censor. Again, like, we're talking about the story, right? I haven't even gotten to, like, the production and the actors and whatnot. Like, even at the story basis, the investors, they will look at the script, and if they see that it's politically incorrect, they will not allow it. There's governments, right? Like, there's government that gives you tax breaks. Like, for instance, Canada. If you want to get a tax break in Canada by filming a movie, well, you gotta have diversity, and you gotta show that you're having, like, the values of the party in power. At the time, it was Trudeau. You want to get a bank loan, right? Especially if it's like an ESG loan and shit. Again, they will look at the type of story that you're having. And so, like, it's a spider web of censorship. And this is why everything that's coming out is so sanitized. And this is why even Disney is afraid to take risks. They're afraid to create new IPs. They're afraid to build something new. And so what they're doing is the safe thing. They're like the cargo cult. It's like, oh, so once upon a time, Beauty and the Beast worked. What if we just, like, make another remake of that, and we cast a gay character that's now Gaston's friend, and maybe we can have, like, some black aristocrats that do some dancing in the beginning, in order to please our investors, in order to please the banks, in order to get some tax cuts, right? That's pretty much how it's done. Of course, I'm not excusing Disney, because, like, they're part of the evil. Like, they're one of the biggest ones, because they have a streaming service, and they have the TOS there. But it's important to understand just how difficult it is to actually create something new nowadays. To actually spin it around. So when Disney is saying, oh yeah, we're going to hire a white actress, I don't think it's going to make much difference. I don't think anyone is going to care. Until the payment processors stop meddling in fiction, until governments are going to give tax cuts not just because of the story of the film, but, based on other reasons, like, for instance, the quality production or something else, just leave the stories alone. Until you're going to have streaming services stop meddling into the type of stories that are being told, you're going to keep getting sanitized slop. It's unfortunate, but, like, never in human history did the internet had so much power over creativity. Like, if you try to create without the internet, you don't have the audience. You're not going to make your returns. If you create with the internet, you have to do it based on the bureaucracy, and you're going to make slop. So this is the actual problem. Let me know what you guys think, though, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.